Hello everyone and welcome to another session of AP Human Geography Review with Mr. Elrod. Today we're going to go over a concept that we find in our second unit of the course, in the migration section of the unit, talking about push and pull factors. Now this is something that's not overly complicated, but I've had some students ask some questions, and so I figured I might go over this and then provide you with a short review and then also some review questions. So when we talk about push and pull factors, really all we're looking at is what is it that is going to cause somebody to either leave a place, or what is something that is going to draw somebody to a place. So really we're just looking at different reasons for migration. You'll see some of the statements that I have there. Something like what causes us to move. So typically that might be more of a push factor because it's something that's going to compel us to get up and get out of a particular place. What's going to be something that encourages us to move. And then what's something that entices us to move? This encourages could be something kind of in between. Maybe we're a little uncomfortable wherever it is that we are, and so we're encouraged to go somewhere else because we see that things are better in another location. And then entices us again. That would be more of a pull factor situation, something that's drawing us to a particular area away from where it is that we are. Now, when we talk about push and pull factors and the reasons why people move, and a good exercise might even go to talk to your own mom and dad and say and ask them questions about why have you moved from one location to another. I actually did an assignment with my students this year where they had to trace the migration of their family, and it was really interesting to look at each of their families and the causes for migration from one place to another, whether it's from another country to the United States or from within the United States or even regionally within the state of Georgia, why it is they move. So it was really interesting. And now one of the things that we need to recognize is that generally speaking, when we're talking about the movement of people, there's going to be a combination of both push factors and pull factors. Something is going to make us maybe a little unsettled about the place that we're at. It's going to kind of draw us away from that place. But then there's going to be something that maybe pulls us to a new location. So there are some instances where maybe one is predominant over the other, but again, typically you're going to find that both of them are at play. Now, when we talk about push factors, again, I've kind of already gone over this, but here's an opportunity for you to write some of this down or think about it in your mind. Push factors, exactly like what it sounds like, is pushing you out of that particular place. It's causing you to leave. So generally, this is going to be some sort of a negative experience. And these are just some examples I have listed here. Of course, this is by no means exhaustive, but things like high taxes, maybe jobs are not available or you lost your job. Maybe the weather is not something that you like, or something you wish for better weather or climatic conditions. Interestingly enough, I actually saw several instances in my students' work where their parents discussed how the weather was a prime factor in causing them to leave. Now, of course, if you can't find a job in the place where there's better weather, then I guess weather doesn't really matter at that point. Places like high crime, things like high crime rates, and then of course, especially with parents with children and families, if there's a poor education system, that's going to cause somebody to move from a place. And then of course, pull factors are exactly the opposite. There's something that entices you to come or pull you to a particular place, and again, you're going to go to a place because you consider that place to be a more positive experience. So look, all I did was I took those instances that we're talking about, and then you flip them around, you make them positive. So maybe you have lower taxes, maybe jobs are available. The weather is something that you find to be more favorable. You have lower crime rates. You have lower crime rates, and then you have a better educational system. And so all of these are going to be situations in which, again, if you put the positive spin on it, those are all going to be pull factors which draw somebody away from a particular place. Again, it's a fairly simple concept, but it's really important to consider, especially when we're looking at weighing maybe in your own life eventually if you ever move to a new place, or studying and observing why we've seen certain movements of people from one place to another. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go over some review statements or questions, and then the answer will be either pull factor or push factor. So very similar to what we've done in our other review videos. I'll read the statement out loud to you. You can pause the video, think about it for a second, write down your answer, and then we'll go to the next slide. So the first one would be overpopulation. Is that a pull factor or a push factor? That, of course, is going to be a push factor if an area becomes overpopulated, overpopulation closely related to carrying capacity, it's going to cause people to move out of an area because there aren't enough jobs, not enough available natural resources, any of those types of things. So people will seek additional resources outside of the area. Moving on to the next one, chain migration. This is going to be an example of a pull factor. Of course, in chain migration, people are moving to a location because of the people that are already in that location, typically of a similar ethnicity or a family member, something along those lines. Our next example, you just graduated from college and the job prospects are low in your area, something that a lot of people have been experiencing here in the recent past. Of course, that's going to be a push factor. You're looking for a job, you just graduated from college, and you think about the position in your life. You're not necessarily tied down to a particular area. You can take jobs in many places. Maybe you haven't found your significant other, so you're not ready to settle down, so you feel a little bit more adventurous. So of course that's going to push you out of that particular area. Next, you and your wife found out you were pregnant, so you begin to look for a new home outside of the city to raise a family. And so we're going to have actually both push and pull factors. If you look at the conditions of the city, typically things like high crime rates and more expensive living situations create a push factor from the city as people begin to raise families, whereas lower crime rates and typically less expensive living situations create a pull factor to the suburbs or areas that are going to be located outside of the city. Sorry, I didn't mean to trick you there, but I had to throw that little twist in there. Next, you've just graduated college. I guess I should say you've just graduated from college, and you want to live in a place that has plenty of options for the young hipster that you are. You're hip, you're trendy, you want to stay out all night, you want to party, work during the day, party during the night, those kinds of things. You're going to live it up while you're young. Push or pull factor. That would be a pull factor. You're looking for a place that can contain your hipster self. Maybe you should move to Houston, because I hear that Houston is hip. Lastly, a devastating earthquake has hit your town, causing great damage and destruction. The cleanup effort could take years, so you decide to move on and try to rebuild elsewhere. That, of course, is going to be a push factor. The devastation of the earthquake, it's going to be difficult for the economy to get up and going again. A lot of jobs are going to be lost. We saw this exact same thing happen with Hurricane Katrina when a lot of people were forcibly displaced from the city of New Orleans as a result of the flooding and the damage that took place there. And I lied, this is not the last one. We have one more. Baby boomers who are moving to the Sun Belt to get away from the cold climates and high taxes of the American North. The answer there is push and pull factors again. Cold weather and high costs of living are push factors from the north, whereas warmer weather and lower costs of living are pull factors to the south. So that's all we have for this time. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it helpful. Again, leave comments in the comment section on the community page, those types of things. If you think of additional ideas or concepts you'd like for me to review, I hope you found that to be helpful, and I look forward to seeing you